Hey audio people, MrAyrit here. Welcome back to the channel. Got a quick review for you today. An IEM review. This one is going to be for the Moondrop Katos. So Moondrop, man, they make some good IEMs, don't they? And so I've done the ones I've tried so far. I've tried the Starfields, I've tried the Arias, I've tried the what's the cheap one? The Chews. All those pretty decent. I think I've got the Katos pretty well figured out. There's not a ton different from those other IEMs as far as builds and stuff goes, but we'll look at that real fast and then we'll do just a quick talk about sound and how it compares mainly to the Aria and the Starfields. Let's dig in, let's look at the packaging, let's see what you get. So here's the packaging. The IEMs are already over here. I did want to show you kind of just what comes with it because it's a pretty nice little package, honestly. Okay, so you got the typical, anime girl stuff going on here with Moondrop. Open up the interior box, and you can see it comes with like a nice little, kind of like faux leather case, kind of like, it's almost like a denim looking thing. I don't know, pretty nice little magnetic pouch. Perfect size for it. You've got all these different tips that come with it, and these are like a combination of Moondrop spring tips and some foam tips in there as well. Okay, so a good little tip selection. I do like those spring tips. I use spin fits on these. I wouldn't really recommend those. I didn't think I got like a great seal with them all the time, at least not while I was moving around. So maybe the tips they came with, these aren't mine, they were sent by a friend of the channel, so I didn't want to dirty up his tips, but tips seem like decent quality though. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Well, let's dig into the build and the cable here. Okay, so if we look at the build of the IEMs themselves, basically it's the same build as the Starfield or the Arias, right? It's an all metal housing, it's got the same shape. These are just kind of like chrome or, polished stainless or something like that. I kind of prefer the painted stuff. Like, I think that looks pretty cool, but I mean, these have a nice look to them. There's definitely nothing wrong with them as far as that goes. So build is good. They're pretty lightweight as far as IEMs go. I don't have an issue with comfort. You just got to get the right tips to get that seal, and that's important. We'll talk about that when we get to sound. The cable is, it's a hefty cable. It's very plasticky. It doesn't tangle, but it's also like not super great to use, I wouldn't say. It's okay. It's an okay cable. The quality seems all right. It can be a little cumbersome to use though sometimes. The ones that I've got, I don't know if there are different ones, but this just came with a 3.5. That's what you get. That's what it looks like. All the stuff is perfectly adequate, I would say, for $150 IEM, which seems to be right around what these cost most of the time. I don't see a ton of great deals on these on the used market, so maybe you see them go down to like 130 or 120, but that's pretty rare. Usually they're right around the 150 mark, okay? So talking about sound, again, we're going to compare heavily to the Starfields and the Arias, because I kind of feel like Moondrop has like a little bit of a house sound going on here, and while the Arias and the Starfields are tuned differently and they have different amounts of bass and things like that, I still feel like they kind of have the same feel to them. Just Moondrop has just kind of this sound where I don't quite know how to describe it. It's a warm tilting sound, and that's what the Katos are too. The bass is better controlled though, and better managed than on the Starfields for sure, and I think and it's more than on the Arias. So I would say that the Katos really are kind of like, if you tried the Arias and you didn't think they quite had enough bass to you and they weren't quite right, but you tried the Starfields and they were like a little bit too much, I think the Katos are kind of that sweet spot that's right in the middle, where the bass has just enough oomph that it has some power behind it, but it's controlled enough that it doesn't seem like as bloaty and fuzzy as the bass on the Starfields do. Outside of that, I think it resolves better than both of those two other headphones. So I really think that the Kato is the sweet spot of Aria, Starfield, Kato. Obviously it costs about twice as much, so it's good that it's better. I do think it resolves better. I think it images better. I think it's wider. So I think it does a lot of things really well. So what I would tell you is that if you like the Aria, like the Starfields, but you want to know like what's it sound like if it's tuned, maybe the best it can be tuned, and if they up the resolution and all those other things just a little bit from those other iems. And I think that's pretty much what you're getting with the Kato here. So I would say that it's probably worth $150. I think it sounds good enough. I think it does enough things right that they could justify that cost. I think if you could pick them up on the used market for, you know, 120 or less, $100, I think they'd be a really, really great deal. So I might keep an eye out for a set of them. It is very important though, like with a lot of iems, that you get a really good seal. My problem with the spin fits that I was using is that as I was moving around, I was like folding laundry and things like that, I did have to like push them in repeatedly to keep that seal after I was turning my head and moving it around, because that really kills just the bass and the imaging and all that. So make sure you get some tips that do a good seal, and maybe those spring tips will do it for you, and I think you're pretty good to go with the Kato. And I think that's going to do it for this review. So as always, thanks for watching. If you found this useful, consider liking the video. If you want more headphone content, more IEM stuff, reviews, things like that, consider subscribing to the channel. If you'd like to support more, there's affiliate links down below for some of the stuff mentioned in the video, and there's a link for Patreon down there too. Now, since this is a quicker review, one thing that I wanted to start doing at the end of some of these videos is I wanted to start doing just kind of like extra, like non-related stuff, and just talk about some of the neat things that I'm coming across as I'm, you know, listening to music, watching movies, you know, playing video games. And one game that's just really had me hooked lately is Hades, and you can get this free on Xbox Live Pass, like it's on the Game Pass. And it's basically you play the son of Hades and you're trying to escape the underworld, and there's all sorts of reasons. I'm not going to go into it, but just if you're a Greek mythology nerd, I would strongly recommend you pick this up. Just the characters, it has such a great art style and such great writing and voice acting. The characters that you've probably heard of a million times, but this is just a fresh way that they're presented. And honestly, it's the writing that really kept me hooked and playing it long after I had beaten the campaign over and over again. I'm still playing it just because I want to, like, I just enjoy the conversation so much between characters. It's so well done that I play it over and over and over again, and it's new content. It's new dialogue between characters. Like, it never repeats. It's crazy. So anyway, if you're a Greek mythology fan, you know, definitely worth checking that game out. Gameplay is super awesome on it. It's all super tight. You can do runs in like 25 minutes on the game, so you can pick it up for just a short session. I've really been enjoying that, and I wanted to share that. So I think that's going to do it for this one. I appreciate you being here, and I hope to see you in the next one.